Hey, peace, y'all. It's my first time using live. I don't even know if I'm on. Let's see what this says. Okay, it says comments will appear here. And there's something down here in the corner. Let's see what that is. Okay. So peace, y'all. It's your girl Letitia Emery, also known to many as Zetanefert. So for those of you who know me as Letitia or Tish, it's all good if you guys continue to call me that. But you know, for those of you who feel comfortable with calling me Zetanefert or Zeta, that's cool too. I do. This is my first time doing a live, so I'm really grateful for the opportunity to step out of my comfort zone, because this is definitely out of my comfort zone, doing a live. Hey Mickey, hey Kamitta, thank you guys for joining. I think I've mentioned this in the group before. I'm a doula, and for those of you who don't know what a doula is someone who, it can be male or female, but currently in the industry it's primarily women, who support other women in a professional capacity during their pregnancy, their labor and delivery, and then their postpartum recovery. There are also some doulas like myself who also support women pre-pregnancy, so helping them to deal with any type of fertility issues they may have, and remedying those things. Hey Ari, thank you for joining. And I've been a doula for 11 years in October, and I became a doula kind of was like synchronicity. For some reason or another, I had people who felt comfortable with me inviting me into their birthing room, into their space. And I was told I was really good at it, and it felt very natural to me. So I became a doula. I went and I took some trainings, and I went and got my certification, and I've been serving families ever since. And I've served many families throughout the Chicago area. And I'm currently in the process of expanding my business with my business partner, Kamitta, who's here joining us on the live as well. We're going to be looking to start offering workshops and things of that nature surrounding our work as doula, surrounding the healing aspects that go into birth and pregnancy, and in particular the postpartum recovery period. I've been traveling back and forth to West Africa yearly for the past 10 years. And I've had the opportunity to sit at the feet of a lot of elders and speak with them about a number of different things surrounding healing and what is done after a woman gives birth, and you know, all of that. So part of my work, I really encourage in my work the use of Waistbeads. One, for sensuality, you know, as women, especially in a patriarchal culture or a patriarchal society, sometimes there's a disconnect from us with our femininity and our sensuality. And so waist beads can be used to enhance that. But most importantly, waist beads are used most commonly for fashion reasons. And in traditional West African societies, which is where waist beads come from, waist beads are used to denote status, lineage, like what bloodline you come from, what clan you come from, if you're a married woman, if you're a single woman. Also, waist beads are used for health reasons. You know, they call Africa like the land of mysteries, or sometimes they even call it the dark continent. And it's really because the traditional side of West Africa is really closed and really protected. And the only way you can get in is if you come into contact with someone who deals with the traditional side, of the hidden side of the culture. And so waist beads can be used for health if you're dealing with an experienced healer who deals in particularly with health issues or spiritual things, and they can use certain herbs or certain medicines or certain rituals, and then put those energies onto the waist beads, and then the woman or whoever is wearing those waist beads then wears those waist beads to deal with whatever issue that person may be experiencing. They're also used as what can be considered as a protection from like nefarious energies or nefarious forces, things that are negative. It's not uncommon in Africa. If you go anywhere in West Africa, more than likely you're going to see women wearing waist beads, including all the way down to the infants. And you'll see waist beads on both male and female children, babies. Those waist beads are for very particular things. There's waist beads for strengthening the legs. There's waist beads for charting growth, weight gain, waist beads to deal with fevers, waist beads to deal with teething, waist beads to deal with protecting the child from like the uncleanliness or the dirtiness that, you know, other people may have on them that, you know, you can't necessarily see, you know, with the naked eye. There's also waist beads that a woman wears after she gives birth. Those waist beads would be different than what she was wearing while she was pregnant. So there's a number of different, there's really lots of different kinds of waist beads. There's whole markets in Ghana, in Togo, in Benin, in Burkina Faso that deals with nothing but beads. That's it. And those markets are usually ran by women, and usually older women. The ones in which I carry and offer and sell, these waist beads they're just fashionable waist beads for aesthetic reasons. But I do talk a lot with my clients about applying what we call the hekau, or the words of like spiritual power, to the waist beads. Especially if you're dealing with, you know, fertility challenges or some disconnectedness or insecurities, you know, while you're pregnant, or if you're giving them to your daughter to wear. I do talk a lot about applying the hekau, or the words of spiritual power, to the waist beads. And so before you would wear the waist beads, you would of course cleanse your waist beads. And I know in the group we've been talking a lot about crystals and cleaning crystals and placing an intention setting and things of that nature. Those same things can be applied to your waist beads. So if you have new moon water or full moon water or strawberry moon water, you can cleanse your waist beads in that water while setting your intentions. You speak your words of spiritual power, your hekau, onto your beads, and you place it in your water, and you let your beads sit overnight in the water. And then you take them out and you dry them, and then you would put them around your waist. If you don't have moon water or any spiritually charged water, you could also use frankincense water, where you take a few resins of frankincense and soak them in water, and then soak your beads in them. I guess the thing about the frankincense water, though, is sometimes the frankincense, because it's a resin, it can be a little sticky, and it can leave a little sticky residue on the beads. But, you know, after a while, that stickiness will wear off. You know, once you shower or whatever, it won't last too long. And so after you say your heko and you set your intentions and you place your waist beads on, you don't necessarily need to remove them. There's some questions popping up here, and like I said, this is my first time using live, and I'm really nervous, and so I just ask that you bear with me, Ari. I want to address, you know, what you're asking. That's my daughter Shaipta, y'all. Say hi, Shaipta. I want to address your questions. I'm not ignoring you, but again, I'm very nervous, and it's my first time, so I kind of want to get through everything so I don't forget what it is that I want to share with you all in the group. Okay, Shaipta, you said hi. Okay, that's enough. All right, thank you. So once you place the waist beads on, you know, it's important to keep them on, because you said, remember, you've put your words of spiritual power onto your beads, and now you need to actually let this thing work, right? And so there's two places where you can actually place your waist beads. You can place your waist beads up on the upper part of the waist, around the navel, or you can place them right on your hips. And that's, of course, under the navel, and it would sit directly onto, you know, nestle right into the hips. So ultimately it's up to you where you feel comfortable wearing them. If you're a pregnant woman wearing waist beads, you would place the waist beads. If you're new in your pregnancy, it can stay around your waist, but as the fundus or the womb begins to grow and into the chest and push everything up into the chest cavity, you would move your waist beads above the belly, so they would sit like literally on the very top of your stomach, so more closer to the breast than the hips. We don't want to restrict the growth of the baby at all. Also, Shaita, what are you doing, child? Stop. Also, with the waist beads can also be used like a waist trainer, like a corset. So say for instance, you're trying to train your waist, you would sit the waist beads on the smallest part of the waist, and you would, you know, adjust them to fit very nice and tight. And as the waist shrinks, you would tighten your waist beads a little bit more until you reach the desired your desired waist size. If you're working on weight loss and you're trying to track your weight loss, waist beads is a great tool for that too, because as you lose weight, the waist beads will start to move down or shift, and you'll be able to tell from the waist beads that you're actually losing weight. It's very common in West Africa for waist beads to be used to chart growth and development in children, because you want to make sure that, you know, your baby is picking up weight, your child is picking up weight, they're growing, and waist beads are a good way for the mother to tell whether or not her child is picking up weight or if the child is losing weight. So we can apply that same thing to ourselves for those of us who are working on achieving our ideal weight. Um, also, when you change partners, sexual partners, it's important to cleanse your waist beads, because you don't want to take the energy of one partner to the next partner. So that's just for us. That's a protection for us as women. It has nothing to do with, do with our partner. It has all to do with us protecting ourselves, and from, with us carrying the negative, any type of negativity, or even if there was no negativity in the relationship, any weight from the relationship into the next one. So you make sure you take your beads off and clean them when you move from one relationship to the next. And so you would do that same process you would as when you were first getting them and wearing them. You, of course, you would speak the words. The words would be different that you would speak. You would be more so talking about cleansing them and removing, energies and, all of that stuff from them, and then putting them in your water. And then once you cleanse them, you can put them back on. I have a number of different ones that I offer. All the ones I currently have right now, I work with only with women in West Africa, women who I know and I trust, and they actually go to the market for me, and usually send them back with another person that is there from the organization that I belong to, called the Earth Center of Ma'anu. Someone will usually bring them back for me. I send the money, I tell them what I want, and then they bring them back for me. So all the ones I have here currently with me, though, are all beaded. They don't have any jewels or anything on them, although with like charms, you can customize your waist bead. You can add charms or anything you want to them. So as you can see here, these are the beads. I have a couple pair here, a few pair here. So as you can see, this is the beaded part, and then there's these long strings on the end. So if you're wondering, okay, well, can I fit them? Are they going to be too big? Are they going to be too small? There's a lot of string on each end of the waist beads that allow you to adjust them to fit your body size. Remember, all women, we come in all different shapes, right? And sizes and heights and widths, and some of our hips are wider than others. Some of our, waists are, smaller than others. So, and the women of West Africa understand that, and the waist beads are kind of like a one size fit all type thing for the most part. Now, in the event that the string may not be long enough for you, there's a way to add more string to it in order to make them fit better for someone who may need a little bit more room. Again, all the ones that I have here are fashionable, and my favorite pair are these. These are the ones that glow in the dark. So if you didn't know, our sisters in Africa are very well versed in sensuality and sexuality, and the things that are the different methods that are used in order to make your special time with your partner really, really enjoyable. So these particular ones are glow in the dark beads, and you will only see married women with these beads on in the culture, because the expectation is, in traditional West Africa, is that they don't shun premarital sex, but it's just like, it's not a common thing there for them. For some, and especially in the villages. In the city, you'll get that, but in the villages, it's a very uncommon thing. But these are glow in the dark ones. These are my favorite. I love these. I get a new pair every time I go because mine usually break. So, and that's not an uncommon thing. So be careful. So if you if you're getting it in real good, and your man tug on them, a little too hard, they may break. So be prepared for that. And then also sometimes waist beads will break and you don't know why they broke, but you can link that back to whatever intention or whatever words of spiritual power or hekalu you placed on your beads. Now, once your beads feel like you have reached or dealt with whatever it is that you were trying to reach or deal with, the beads can break. And that's just a sign that they're just finished. What you were using these for, you no longer need them for. And it's time to move on to the next thing or the next phase or the next stage. So don't worry if your beads break. So Sister Ari, I know you had a question. I'm gonna see if I can go back here. Oh, just so you guys know too, I have 4 beautiful babies of my own. And so you may hear my 1-year-old yelling in the background or crying in the background. It is, bedtime around here. And then the one you met here, Shaita, she's my 5-year-old. She's my super, 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 super vibrant, charismatic, and attention-grabbing little one. And then I have an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old. So if you guys hear them in the background, just know I'm a mama and I got a house full. Okay, Sister Ari, she said, can you tell us specific stones that help with womb healing for those of us that may have uterine issues or even for the fertility issues? Which healing stones work best for what issue? So I think I shared this with the group sometime back when Sister Mickey first started talking about the waist beads. Not the waist beads, the stones in the group. Like, I have a lot of stones. I was really into stones back in my early 20s, but I was using them more so to deal with issues that were kind of arising back in my early 20s. I was dealing with issues of feeling insufficient and lacking confidence, and feeling like I wasn't able to communicate effectively, and all these things we face as young women, all these challenges we face as young women. And so I never pushed my knowledge of using stones for fertility per se, but there were ones that I used to ground myself and really connect with my womb. And some of the ones I would use was I used clear quartz a lot. Rose quartz was one of my favorite. Malachite, kyanite, bloodstone. I used that one a lot when I would be menstruating or when I was dealing with some menstrual irregularities. I would use bloodstone. Moonstone, I used a lot of. Moonstone was really, that one worked really well for me with really centering myself and really feeling what I call sure-footed. Really developing the confidence I was kind of looking for at that stage of my life. I was newly married, I was a new mother, and I was really unsure about myself because I was raised by my very strong and very rigid and no nonsense grandmother. So in many ways, I lacked a lot of confidence in a lot of things, and I needed a lot of reassurance. And so I started working with stones at the advice or counsel of an older woman. And they really helped me in that stage of my life. But once I started to explore traditional African spirituality and really go deeper and traveling into, to West Africa, into the initiation camps, so on and so forth, I found that there were other things that resonated more with me. So I moved away from using crystals for myself, and even in my birth work or my work with women. So some of the ones I would recommend if I was to work with a woman who wanted to know what stones that they could use to deal with any fertility issues or womb healing. Like I said, clear quartz, rose quartz, bloodstone, moonstone. I liked carnelian. I really liked carnelian a lot, and citrine. I'm still really attracted to those two. And selenite. Selenite really helps to clear out negativity in space, like darkness, negativity, like heaviness because of like the negativity. A big nice chunk of selenite in your bedroom. That is really, I would definitely recommend that one too. I think Sister Ari may have asked another question up here. Oh, okay, she was tagging somebody. Hey, thanks, Ari girl. Thanks for the plug. Do you guys have any more questions? I know there's only a few of us on here. I wish there were more, and I wish there were more questions. I can show you guys some of my waist beads, you know, if you guys don't have any questions right now. I have quite a few here. I'll show you what I have. This is a gold and white, a gold bead and a clear bead pair. This is a pink one with some more like some other colors in it, and pink and green ones. Can you touch on how you got involved becoming a doula? Okay, she may have missed that. So Sister Mickey is asking about how I became a doula. And yeah, I shared it back at the beginning, and I'm always happy to share it again. I became a doula. It was like synchronicity. It's just like it fell into my lap. My very first birth, I'll share this. So my very first birth was with a really close friend of mine who I'd been friends with, who I had met in undergrad. And, you know, we've been in each other's lives ever since. And so I was over visiting her, and she was in her last days of her pregnancy. However, I did not know it was her last day of her pregnancy. And so she, you know, had been lounging around on the couch, and I was kind of helping her, you know, like tie up the last minute, like loose ends before she was ready to go in and have the baby, helping her tidy up her place and, you know, all of that stuff. So when she did go in to have the baby, she would leave with her house clean, and she would come back to a clean house. And so I just noticed like she was laying around on the couch a lot. And I was just like, man, what's going on with her? She must be really tired. Because, you know, in the last days of pregnancy, you know, women tend to get really, really tired. And so, yeah, Shari, I'm going to come to that question in a second. And so she was making this low moaning sound. And I was like, man, it sounds like she's in labor. So I went over and I touched her, and she felt like really warm. And because that's also one of the things that doulas look for in labor, is like the temperature of the body. The body heats up as the woman progresses in labor. So I asked her, I said, sis, are you in labor? I feel like you're in labor. And she was like, I think I am. And keep in mind, this had been an all-day thing. So I feel like she had been in labor all day. And because it was her first baby, she was unsure. And so as soon as we both acknowledged that she was in labor, and she actually vocalized that, as like all the rushes and the surges, they just picked up really strong. And before we know it, we were in the throes of her labor at her house. And so I know that that's a very sensitive and vulnerable time for women, and I didn't want to impose myself. And I also had my oldest daughter with me, who was 1 at the time. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go home. You know, your husband is here, and, you know, you guys should be heading out to the hospital soon. And she grabbed me, and she was like, please don't go. I need you here with me. And so I stayed with her and ended up accompanying her to the hospital and doula-ing her through the labor and the delivery. And it was a very what we call a precipitous birth, where the birth happens very quickly. So she had the baby in under 2 hours. So we acknowledged that she was in labor, and 2 hours later, the baby was in her arms. So it was a very fast labor and delivery. And she talked to me after her birth and talked about how much she appreciated me being there, and, you know, how she feels like my presence really made a difference in her during her birthing time. And so after that experience, I was like, man, I should really look into that. What that entails. Like, is there a place for a woman like me who women feel supported by when they're in their pregnancy and when they're in their delivery, and then once they're home with their baby? Then I found out, and, you know, in my research, I found out about doulas, and I decided to take a doula training. So that's how I became a doula. It was synchronicity. And so what about getting waist beads wet? I've watched a video where it said no salt water or water, period. Really? No, so in West Africa, what I observe is the women are all about, the people there are all about practicality. And the women in particular, it's about practicality, efficiency, because there's just a lot to achieve in a day when you're in an environment that calls for you to fetch your water, build your fire in order to fix your food, wash your clothes in buckets, you know, so on and so forth. So everything is about practicality and efficiency. And so you won't see women taking a whole bunch of time to untie waist beads that are tied on very securely so that they don't fall off and so that they don't expose themselves to people who they don't want their waist beads to be exposed to. So I've never known for it to not be okay to get them wet. I've been wearing waist beads now for over 10 years, and I've never taken my waist beads off to shower. Even when I custom make waist beads for myself, and I add charms and, you know, different kind of shells and stuff to them, I never take them off. I've never heard this before, especially, you know, when you're talking about something that is steeped in West African cultural traditions. To not get waist beads wet, to not get them for salt water to touch them, especially when a lot of the coastal people live on the water, you know, on the Atlantic. I've never heard that. And even in talking to the women there, I've never been given that directive to take my waist beads off. But I can actually contact, you know, some of the women I work with back in West Africa and ask them just to double check, because I cannot claim to know it all, especially being a person who was born outside of the culture, born here in America, raised here in America, and I'm not from there. I can definitely check and confirm and then post in the group once I get an answer. But as far as I know, it's okay to get your waist beads wet and to go on the beach in the Atlantic if you decide to go to Cancun or Miami, or go to the Pacific and decide to get in the water, or hell, you decide to go take a Mediterranean cruise, whatever you doing, sis. Again, everything in the West African culture is about practicality and efficiency. So, and they're tied really, 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 really well. So sometimes it's very hard to even get them off. And usually in order for them to come off, they usually break. So, yeah, I don't know anything about that part, but again, I'm going to come back to you guys once I get an answer, or clarity. Once I get clarity on my understanding, I'm going to come back. If you were interested in purchasing waist beads, only thing you have to do is DM me here on Facebook. You can find me here. You can find me here in the group. You know, just message me from the group, or you can add me as a friend. That way I definitely don't miss your message. Add me as a friend and then send me a message on in Messenger. And so there's a couple other questions down here. How often do you set intentions on them? So what I was explaining earlier is when you first get your waist beads, you set your intentions using whatever method you're comfortable with. We've talked in the group about using the strawberry moon, the moon water from the strawberry moon that we had recently, using the new moon, using the full moon. You can use any of those waters charged by the moon. You can also use frankincense water, where you take a little, a few resin, drop them in a jar, and then set your water in them and set your intentions on them. You can also use Florida water. There's also some more powerful spiritual perfumes that I purchased in West Africa that they use there for rituals and things of that nature. You can also use those things to cleanse and set your intentions on your beads. And you can do it as often as you feel the need to. Again, sometimes waist beads will break when whatever intention you set on them, you've achieved, or you're ready to go to the next level. The waist beads will break themselves. They'll be like, hey, you're finished with me. It's time for me to, go, or time for you to move on. So those will break and you'll get a new pair. Also, when you move from one sexual partner to the next, you want to make sure that you cleanse your waist beads and, set whatever new intentions you have on those waist beads. Because again, you don't want to take dead or stale energy from one relationship to the next. You want to make sure you clean that off. Which ones are best for attracting the new boo? LOL, I want those. So I think it's more so about the intention you set on them. So in West Africa, if you go to see an experienced healer or priest, and you are in search of a man, a new relationship, or a man is going and he's in search of a woman, there are certain things that you would do. So I actually have some spiritual perfumes and some spiritual powders that I do offer. And those spiritual perfumes and spiritual powders are used to attract. So when you set your intentions, you would put those powders and those perfumes into your waist beads, and you would scent your waist beads with those powders and those perfumes. So those things are used as means or methods of attraction. And then don't forget to set your intention. Always set your intention. Always put your hekau on your bead. Always put your words of spiritual power on your beads. Always. Always. Hey, Kane. Hey, homie. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to put you on, sis. I'm going to put you on. I'm going to go back up because I know Sister Ari asked another question. Okay, she said, tell me about comfort. Are you comfortable at first sleeping? Yeah, I've never had an issue with them. In terms of like comfort. Now, if you're wearing something that's really, 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 really tight around your waist, the beads may dig into the skin a little bit, but that's just that you just got to make sure you adjust them, pull them up a little bit. It's usually never an issue. It's never been an issue for me. And I mean, I'm not a small woman. I'm not a small woman. So yeah, I've never had an issue, with my level of comfort with the waist beads and with sleeping. They're a great, method for your man to use to tug on. A nice way for him to, balance himself or harness himself, or, have that good pull and tug, when you guys are having your fun time, with each other. Again, they're easy to, they can break too if he pulls a little hard. So that's just something to keep in mind, because you'll end up with beads everywhere in the middle of the night, or during a time when you're trying to do it fast, get in and get out kind of thing. So you don't want to be dealing with beads everywhere. So just keep that in mind. You better not break my beads. I know that's right. Mickey, I'm telling you, sis, don't worry. Again, thank you so much for asking me to come and talk about the waist beads. And then I feel like even though we had the little hiccup with the charger, doing this live really pushed me out of my comfort zone. And it's really you know, it made me come face to face with something I've been fearful of doing. So please, no need to apologize. I am really, really grateful for, you know, being challenged to do this. Oh yeah, drip them in honey, sis. Oh yes, please do. Yeah, slather that honey all over. Call on the power of the great Orisha Oshun. Yes, do that. Yes, drip them in honey. You can do that too. Whatever you feel led to do, whatever resonates with you in terms of when you set your intention on your beads, you know, listen to that. So what I just gave you is a, you know, is a guideline or recommendations. So if you guys don't have any more questions, again, I can show you really quick, because I know we've been on here for a while now. I can show you really quick some of the ones I have. Again, I showed you some gold ones, some pink and green ones, some pink ones with some sprinkle of blue beads. Here's some white ones. Here's some blue ones with some clear beads. I showed you the glow in the dark joints. Again, my favorite, my personal recommendation. Especially when you're entering into a new romantic relationship, and you know you guys are getting ready to have your fun time together for the first time. Those are always really, those are like a shocker. Like, ooh, dang, she's this one's something else. She got on glow in the dark waist beads. Like, where they do that at? So that one, those are really good. I do have some smaller ones here for those of us who have daughters. Yes, pink and green, sis. Pink and green. I'm sorry. I know, sis. I know you're a Delta. I love you. I love you. But yeah, pink and green. There's some for, I have some smaller size waist beads too. Okay, sis, you can definitely get some Kalea. You too, Airy. Y'all just, you know, just message me. Some smaller ones for those of us who have daughters. You can purchase some for your daughters if you're interested. And then, you know, also before you place them on your daughter, make sure you set your intention for your child. To all of my daughters, I have 3 daughters. They all wear waist beads, and I cleansed their waist beads in moon water some months back upon my return from my 6-week stay in West Africa. And I set my intentions on those beads for my daughters, and then I prayed over my babies, and I put those waist beads around their waist. So for those of us who have daughters who are interested in purchasing waist beads for your daughters, you're more than welcome to. I have some solid blue ones here. There's like this gold and pink. I really like these a lot. I was attracted to these for myself, but I'm rocking the glow in the dark joints right now. I have these. These are like really nice earth tones. Some yellows and some browns and some greens for all my Omo Oshun people in the group. Some white ones for all my Omo Obatala people. Prices, tell us, how do we pay you? I take Cash App. And that's really the best way. I have Venmo, but I don't really like the Venmo platform as much as I like Cash App. So Cash App is the best way. $ Letitia Emery. Letitia, Latisha, Emery, Emery. So Cash App is the best way. I have these here. These little very light green beads. Small seed beads with some larger seed beads mixed in there. Really cute. Some red and some green and some blues. And the prices vary. You can buy single strand waist beads, but I myself, I don't purchase single strand waist beads for my clients because single string waist beads they're too, they break too easy. So Emery. you have E-M-B-R-Y. So E-M-E-R-Y, like the emery board that we use to file our nails, E-M-E-R-Y. So I think I showed you guys these already. I showed you the glow in the dark ones. I have a few more over here. I have a lot. So I have these. I have these pink ones. They're like the other pink ones that I showed you, but the accent beads, the accent seed beads are a little bit bigger. And then I have these ones here. These really resonate with me too. I really, really, really like these. But again, I'm rocking the glow in the dark joints right now. I haven't, you know, taken any for myself. And then I have these clear, like silver ones. Silver, can you see those? And then these ones right here. So, I also do custom beads. If anybody was interested, they had a vision that they wanted me to help them bring forth. I am capable of doing that too. So, you know, if you wanted to talk about custom options, we could discuss that. And so the ones that I have here are multi-strand beads, as you can see. The strands range from 6 to 8 strands. And so the price is going to vary just a little bit from the 6 to 8 strand ones. And then the ones, the glow in the dark ones, are going to be priced a little bit differently too. So, oh, silver. Yes, Mickey. Yes, the silver ones are definitely cute. Those are definitely cute. So how many do you wear at a time? Because these are, Mickey, you so silly. Because these are multi-strand waist beads, you really only need one pair. Because if not, they're going to start to get really bulky, and you can see, you're going to be able to see them through your clothes. So for any of us who may work in a quote unquote professional setting, please don't put too much weight on professional, coming from me. For those of us who may work in corporate America and have this expectation, they have this expectation for us to look a certain way. You may not want to put on too many pairs because then you can see them through your clothes. But if you're an entrepreneur like me who works on your own schedule and sets your own schedule, except for when I have to get called to a birth, then I'm on my birth client schedule. You can put on as many pairs as you want to. So if you're working on a number of multiple things or trying to manifest a few things in your life, then you would, you know, set different intentions on them. So if you're trying to attract money, if you're trying to attract love, if you're trying to ground yourself, center yourself, if you're working on again, what I call sure-footedness. And when I say sure-footedness, it's like the way that you're walking or the way that you're stepping. You want to make sure that you're confident in those moves and those decisions. That's what I call sure-footedness. You can set different intentions on them. So that's totally up to you. Are there any more questions? No more questions? Love it. Okay, before you go, ... Okay, before I go, what you got to say, Mickey? You say hi? You called intention setting or speaking word something. I called it hekau. And so in my initiation, we learn a lot about what is called, it's a very old language, it's called Medu. Many of us know it as the hieroglyphs. And so in Medu, there's a word that is hekau, and the hekau translates to words of spiritual power. So it's like you casting a spell using your words on whatever it is that you're placing those words onto. So that is what a hekau is. It's very powerful, and you have to be very considerate in what it is that you're saying, and the intentions that you're setting, because you don't want to use the wrong words and impact or affect yourself in a negative way. So, when you are speaking your hekau or your words of spiritual power, make sure that you are very clear with your words on what you're trying to put on, what you're trying to speak or manifest into your life. Make sure you're really clear with yourself, before you speak. So, are there any more questions, brother? I think you may be the only man we have on here. King, do you have any questions? Yeah, you've had some really good questions, Mickey, and I really appreciate you asking, because it's really giving me the opportunity again to really force myself out of my comfort zone. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity. It says, this amethyst is bringing me all the messages. Yes, yes, yes. Thanks, Sister Mickey. Again, for anybody who's interested in purchasing Waistbeads, either add me as your friend on Facebook so I can make sure I get the message. Oh, son, what are you doing? I get the message. Or you can, just try and message me, in Messenger. And, I'll be checking my messages periodically just to make sure I don't miss you. And again, to pay for your Waistbeads, you can send the money to my Cash App. Of course, we go through all this again when we message, but the $sign Letitia, LATISHAEMERY. All right, thanks so much for tuning in to this live, guys. Thank you. And I hope I have the opportunity to serve the people in this group in one capacity or another. All right, peace.